Hey food friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be cooking with dried chickpeas. I'll show you how to cook them perfectly and make two delicious recipes, including Green Goddess chickpeas and butter chicken and chickpeas. And then I'll show you how to use these two recipes to make some delicious and satisfying wraps. I'm starting with 2 cups of dried chickpeas, and this costs around $2 or just under. Place your chickpeas in a large bowl. This is high in protein and fiber and carbs, and it's going to be our star ingredient for these recipes. Fill your bowl with water and soak overnight, and you can see the chickpeas absorb a lot of water and become plump. Here it is side by side. In a deep skillet with your stove on high, add your chickpeas and fill it almost to the top with water and add just a sprinkle of salt. Bring it to a boil. You might notice some foam at the top once it starts boiling. You can skim it off as some people do, but I will not. Cover and cook for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes you can see the foam has just disappeared back into the liquid. I'm going to test it for salt, and I'm just salting this as I go. I don't want it to be too salty. I added a bit more salt. Cover and cook for another 20 minutes. At this point, check for the tenderness. I do want these nice and soft, so I'll cook them for 5 more minutes. Some chickpeas do take longer to cook and some take shorter time to cook, but once you're able to effortlessly take a spoon and crush your chickpeas, then they're nice and done. Turn your heat off and let this cool, and then after it cools, I just drain it. I do keep the liquids that the chickpea was cooked in. It's also known as aquafaba, and it tastes nutty. It almost tastes like a chickpea broth, so I might make something with this after. I'll keep it aside and put it in the fridge. I wanted to show you guys just how much chickpeas I got out of the 2 cups of chickpeas, and it was 6 cups in total when it was fully cooked. Let's get started with the Green Goddess chickpeas. I'm using chives, basil, wild garlic. You can use regular garlic if you like. I just happened to pluck this out of a planter box outside. It regrows every year. I have some parsley as well, and I'll be using some kale. This is purple kale, black kale, green kale. You can use Swiss chard or spinach if you'd like. All of these herbs were given to me from my dear friend Colleen, and she's quite the green goddess, so thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate it. In a skillet on medium-high, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and I will also be using this half a lemon that was in my fridge. You'll notice when I add my kale, the black kale is missing. It's because I found 2 caterpillars in them and it freaked me out, so I stuck to the purple kale and the green kale. I did remove the stems and cut it really small, so it doesn't need cooking for long, maybe just 2 minutes or so. And now it's time to add the chickpeas. And I've decided what I want to do is add 3 cups of chickpeas for this recipe. What makes this Green Goddess is the use of all the greens, but especially the use of all the herbs. I added the wild garlic and the stems of my parsley, and I'm just going to mix this and cook this for another minute. And if you want to use regular garlic, as wild garlic isn't always available, use 2 cloves of regular garlic. Now it's time to add the rest of my herbs. Turn off the heat and add your chopped herbs, and that's about 2 tablespoons each of basil, parsley, and chives. Mix everything together, and the residual heat will cook these delicate herbs, as they do not require a lot of cooking time. And lastly, I'm going to add my lemon juice, and this actually doesn't make the dish taste lemony at all. It just sort of brightens it up. Taste for salt, and add a little bit more if you need to, as I did in this case. Now this is ready, and here is our Green Goddess chickpeas. I do like to eat this at room temperature or even cold. It's packed full of nutrients. I can really taste the basil in the chickpeas, and it almost reminds me of a nutty pesto flavor. Now let's make butter chicken and chickpeas. And I'm just using a store-bought butter chicken sauce. You can use any brand you want. And in the same pan, because it has flavors, I add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm adding 3 chicken thighs that are boneless and skinless that I have chopped into bite-sized pieces. The instructions on the bottle did call for 2 chicken breasts, but I don't tend to cook a lot of chicken breast. Let this cook for about 5 minutes and do turn it so it gets a little bit of color. Mine was sticking, so I added a bit of water just to sort of deglaze the pan. And then I just add a quarter cup of water and let this chicken cook in it. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of chickpeas. I want this to cook for about 20 minutes together because I want the chickpeas to become nice and soft, and it'll complement the texture of the chicken. You don't want crunchy chickpeas in butter chicken and chickpea recipe, and this really stretches the protein content. I add my sauce and I add a bit of water to the bottle and shake it up, and then I just make sure to get every last bit out of there. Bring this to a simmer on medium, and then we're going to cover it and cook it for about 20 minutes so the chickpeas can break down a bit. You do want to stir every now and then to make sure nothing's sticking, as this is a thick, rich, creamy sauce. Taste for salt and adjust if you need more. From my 6 cups of chickpeas, I have 1.5 cup of chickpeas left. I'm going to put it in a freezer safe bag and just store it in the freezer with a label of the date and the ingredient, and I'll use it in the future. For the last 5 minutes of cooking, I just cook it without the cover because I want it to dry down a bit so I can put it nicely into my wraps and it won't be too liquidy. This is ready, and this is a great texture and consistency, and it does thicken up as it cools. I'm using some large white flour tortillas to make these into wraps, and the reason I'm making these is because my daughter started a job and I wanted to do some meal prep for her. She needs to take a lunch, and I saw she had a frozen burrito in the freezer, and I was like, oh hell no, I'm gonna make you better food. So I put 3 tablespoons into my tortilla and just apply a little pressure as you roll and tuck, and follow this technique to get a perfect roll. And then once I roll it up, I just place it seam side down. On my 6th wrap, I ran out of butter chicken and chickpeas, so I'm going to add some of my Green Goddess Chickpeas in here and just stuff it in there. This wrap is nice and fat and has a lot of filling. So here we have 6 wraps. They look like little burritos. So what I want to do is seal all of these wraps. I have a skillet, a flat skillet on medium, and I'm just going to place them until the seams seal at the bottom, and then you just want them to get a nice brown color, but not too brown. And then I also will do the other sides and all 4 sides as well, so we just have a nice color on all of them. Please use a spatula if you cannot handle touching or holding hot things. Here we have our 6 wraps, and 5 are full of butter chicken, and this one is the butter chicken Green Goddess chickpea wrap. These freeze really well, and they are perfect for lunches, and you can just zap them in the microwave. Look how gorgeous that looks inside. I'm going to eat this one right now. Give these recipes a try and go feed yourself. Thanks for watching.